This episode is brought to you by Burn, the fitness company behind the Today Show approved Burn board. If I'm being honest, working out can be a real chore, especially as a new dad in desperate need of sleep and cardio. Burn is founded by NEPA native Jimmy T. Martin, and his Burn board offers a low-impact core and cardio experience unlike anything I've done before. They have hundreds of on-demand workouts that are great for beginners, seasoned athletes, and out-of-shape podcast hosts who love supporting small businesses. My wife and I use it pretty frequently throughout the week, and it's honestly a great way to burn a ton of calories without burning a ton of cash. Not to mention, it's a great tool for skiers, runners, wrestlers, and hockey players. Jimmy is offering all On the Stacks listeners 15% off when they use the code STACKS15. Visit theburn.com today to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15 at checkout. Again, that's theburn, THEBRRN.com to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15. It's time to get on board today with Burn. This episode is brought to you by Blue Door Financial. Blue Door Financial will help you save money and reduce taxes to live a fuller financial life. To learn more, visit Blue Door Financial online at BLUdoorfinancial.com. That's BLUdoorfinancial.com.
That's why we do what we do. It's a really cool feeling because we put our blood, sweat, and tears into treatment planning, and when it comes out perfectly, there's no feeling quite like it.
Oh yeah, whoa, look, they can never keep me down, I'm going, and if I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit, cause I know that every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up.
Hi, I'm Bill Corcoran Jr. This is the On the Stacks podcast. Today, I'm chatting with Dr. Jeff Pace from Karam Orthodontics. What's up, podcast episode 109 of the On the Stacks podcast here in the Blue Door studio. Welcome to the show, Dr. Jeff Pace. How you doing?
Doing pretty great, Bill.
I'm glad you're here. This is exciting. Can you believe that I've never had braces?
That's surprising. So you're one of those patients that I would say, man, you're a lucky guy.
Yeah, I still hear that. Like every time I go to the dentist, I still hear that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably find something to do.
Of course.
Maybe a little bit right there, lower.
Yeah, but I always just kind of like find that fascinating because like anytime it ever comes up in conversation, my wife works in dentistry, but like it's just always like, what? You never had braces? And it's like, yeah, I was that lucky kid.
Yeah.
So how did this whole thing get started for you? I mean,
well, I grew up in Dallas. I went to Dallas School District, and growing up, I always watched my dad, who's a physical therapist at Pace Physical Therapy, and right off Memorial Highway there. So right now, he's right next to the that ice cream shop with the cows out there. That next stop's at Paperback, but. It was just always in the back of my mind that I wanted to be some kind of doctor or physical therapist or something to help people. And so growing up, I watched him treating people and making friends in his office. And I always wanted to do something like that. What exactly it was, I wasn't so sure. So going through high school and college, I really didn't know I wanted to go into dental until I thought I was going to go into the medical profession and, be a physician or orthopedic surgeon or something. I was actually in an MCAT course out at Colorado where I went to school. And I just remember thinking and being really anxious, like, I don't know if I want to do this. And something that's really important to me is like quality of life and being able to be with my family, because my dad was always able to like coach our team, my sister and I's teams and everything. And I wanted to make sure I did that. So then I started thinking about dentistry. So you have a better work-life balance for sure. And then after I was in dental school and everything, I was thinking, what gives you the most work-life balance out of all the dental specialties? And orthodontics is that. And on top of that, I mean, it's awesome. It's amazing. It's like you're puzzle solving for every patient. And it's like the only dental specialty that you don't really put people in too much pain. They kind of like coming to see it, which is always a plus.
So they don't hate you as much.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, when they leave and we take the braces off, I mean, that's why that's why orthodontists do what we do, you know.
Yeah. So it's like it's a real long process.
It's still, the long, I was going to say the long con, but
yeah,
the long game. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So where did you go to school?
I went to University of Colorado in Boulder.
What made you choose that?
I'm a big outdoors guy. I grew up in Boy Scouts in Dallas, Troop 281, whoever knows about it.
Shout out 281.
That's right.
281 boys.
Mr. Ben Nash, you know. And my grandfather both my grandfathers were very heavily into the outdoors, and I just got really into skiing and backpacking and mainly skiing. So when I was thinking about where to go to school, I was like, well, I'd like to go to a good biology.
Where can I ski the most?
Basically, yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll go to Colorado, and I'll get some really good skiing in. I guess I'll get an education too.
Yeah, while you're there.
Yeah, and it was a good biology program, so yeah, might as well. But it was a little intimidating. You're 18, you've never been away from home, and
that's far.
Halfway across the country by myself. I don't know anybody. So it was a great experience in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Personally. And
why? Like, what did you learn? What did you do?
I guess, just like meeting people and kind of developing your personality. I made a point, like everybody in my dorm, every room in my dorm, I made a point to go to like every single room and introduce myself. I made a lot of friends. And now I have friends all over the country. Going to Colorado was such a great choice for me, like being away from home.
Yeah. All right. So after Colorado, you moved back to Pennsylvania, right? Came back home. Then what?
So being out in Colorado, that was the time I was going to, go to medical school or go to dental school. So I decided I got accepted to Penn Dental School. So I'm like, you know what? I just spent 4 years away from home, and we'll come back to Philly and be a little bit closer for like the stresses of dental school, because I didn't know what the heck to expect. So I moved to Philadelphia. A buddy of mine, we moved there a year before. So I was in Philadelphia for about 5 years. Eric Baltimore. We played soccer together at Dallas. We lived together, and then I started dental school. And Philadelphia was a great town to be young in. And in dental school, it was like high school all over again, but we're all grown-ups.
How? Why?
There's like, there's cliques that happen. There's like drama. Someone's dating somebody, but it was a lot more like mature. Like we all respected each other, and being at Penn, I was surprised I even got into Penn. I didn't think I'd be smart enough, but everyone's very intelligent and comes from a different background. You graduate in a class of like 200, just like I did in Dallas, and I made a lot of lifelong friends in dental school, just kind of like I did in college or high school. Yeah. Yeah.
So this whole process, and then, becoming an orthodontist is like you go to school for like 20 years, right?
It's definitely the long haul. Yeah. 4 years of high school, 4 years of college, and 4 years of dental school. And then, some people, at the end of dental school are like, okay, I'm done. Get me out of here. Yeah. And
you have to go for an extra couple years.
Yeah. An extra like either 2 to 3 years, depending on what program you go to. Mine was 2.5 years, but luckily orthodontic residency isn't as, stressful as a medical school residency. So my 2.5 years after dental school was almost like my reward for going through dental school, which was just pure horror. But looking back, it was a great experience too. It pushed you. I learned a lot about myself. And I made a lot of great friends along the way.
So you went back out west, right?
So we went through the match program, which I don't know if many people know about that. So either like medical school or dental school, if you decide to go into a specialty, you don't just apply and, you go like a program and they accept you. It's every residency you go interview at, you fill out a match form. So you rank each school that, from 1 to 8, let's say, like your favorite down to your worst. And then the schools do that with the applicants. And then like you're ranked and then schools are ranked for you. And then they put them all into an algorithm and then bam, you get matched somewhere based on.
That's what they call match day, right? That's like a thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Match day. So luckily I matched my number one choice, which was Oregon Health and Science University in Portland, Oregon.
Awesome.
Yeah. Shout out. I love you guys.
So why Oregon?
Well, I had, the outdoors, spirit in the back of my head the whole time I was in the city in Philadelphia. I'm like, get me the heck out of here.
Yeah, enough concrete for me.
Yeah, like I said, great place to live, but I was over big city to live in. So when I went out to interview at Oregon, it was right around the time I was watching Portlandia, the show. You ever watch that?
No.
You should check it out. It's just like a parody on like hipster culture, but it's filmed like in Portland in all different areas. Okay. But yeah, really funny show, and it just looked like such a fresh, like the air's fresh out there, the mountains, you got volcanoes and the Doug firs everywhere. So when I went out, I was just kind of engrossed with the scenery. Portland's like a city like nestled right up against a hill. Like I've never seen a city so close to woods before. The restaurants are so cool. The just the ambiance, even though it's not sunny all the time, like the fog and the clouds.
It rains a lot there, right?
So I probably shouldn't say this, but the Pacific Northwest actually has the best summers in the entire country. So people kind of live there through the rain and the muck through most of the year to live there for the summer.
Okay.
There's not a cloud in the sky
in the summer.
It's like 80 degrees, no humidity for like 4 months.
So this is like perfect.
Yeah. And beautiful scenery. Like it's incredible.
So what you're saying is I should move to Oregon.
Yeah.
But only in the summer.
Let's do it, Bill. Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's transplant the show right now.
All right.
Yeah. So like what did you do out in Oregon? Like what did you experience there?
The amount of like natural, like outdoors type of things you can go see, like canyons, and there's like more waterfalls in that state than anything else, than any other place like in the country. You could ski and surf in the same day. And Portland has more breweries than any other city in the world. So yeah, I'm kind of selling Portland here.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're a sales rep for. Yeah.
But and on top of that, I should probably get back into school. That's why I was out there. But
right. Yeah.
But yeah, going to OHSU, you don't really know you don't know exactly what school you're going to be going into. Or program until you get in there and start learning. And now that I've been out of school and I've been practicing and I've been seeing, a lot of different things, I don't think I could have gotten a better education. Like I learned some very strong clinical decision-making and skills, and they really hone your eyes and your mind to how to be like the perfect orthodontist. And that's what I strive to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what was that like?
Like going to school?
Yeah. Like it seems like, like you said, like that, strive to be like the best of the best. Like,
yeah. So, orthodontics is most of the treatment that you do is figured out right at the beginning. Your patient comes in, you take records, you take a look at their bite and measure, do all this stuff. And then you start to problem solve. And in residency, we, as residents, there were 4 residents in my class in like 3 years. So we'd all put our patients up on the big screen, and we'd kind of talk through them all. Like, why wouldn't you want to move this tooth here and that tooth there? And then we would also look at finished cases too, and we'd pick them apart. But yeah, there's there's a lot of different philosophies of orthodontics as dentistry and everything else out there, but yeah, I feel like we learned it the best possible way. But yeah, we got assigned different patients. I think maybe, I don't even remember how many patients I had, maybe 90 patients I saw in residency, and he treated each one and treatment planned each one with a different residency instructor. And most of them were part-time residency instructors, so they had their own offices. So we kind of learned from orthodontists who are already in the field, so they know what they're doing and they know how to run a good practice. So yeah.
So fast forward a little bit, you graduate, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your plan after that?
That's a good question.
Besides traveling the world,
yeah.
Or did you do a little bit of that?
So yeah, I did actually do exactly that right after I graduated. When I was in college, I was telling you before, I did a study abroad program called Semester at Sea, where students from like all different types of, all different colleges all over across the country, and and you get on a cruise ship, and you basically go around the world, stopping at different countries along the way. And while you're on the ocean, that's when you would take classes. And you would take, say, like before you got to Japan, you would have a Japan unit in your world music class, or like your world geography class, or world culture class. So it was amazing.
So you got to like experience the world while in college.
Yeah.
Like you were taking classes
lucky.
On a ship.
Yeah.
I feel like I missed the boat here.
It's
I don't know if that was pun intended or not, but like,
yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough it was popular enough at Colorado that, you know, a lot of people knew about it. But yeah, I feel very lucky to have been able to do that, and it created a travel bug inside me. So after I finished residency, I decided to do a little solo backpacking trip through Southeast Asia. So I bought a one-way ticket to Hanoi, Vietnam. And I was like, okay, let's figure this out. So I explored around Hanoi, went down through Vietnam into Cambodia, up to Thailand. And after I got a MRSA infection abscess that I got lanced in a Thai hospital, like the next day I left to come home.
Oh my God, what happened?
I don't know. I mean, everyone has, bacteria on their skin, but for some reason it got under mine, and I had this big thing growing on me, and it was pretty gnarly.
So wait, did that cut the trip short, or?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was, it actually worked out great.
Did it? So you were like ready to come home anyway?
Yeah.
So why did you choose there to go? Like, was there a specific reason?
Well, when I was there for a semester at sea, we stopped in Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
And I always wanted to go to Thailand. I discovered a love of Thai food when I was out in Portland. And I was like, man, I just love to just go there and eat.
Yeah.
And
Thai food is the best.
People there are very friendly, and traveling, if anyone wants to travel to Southeast Asia, I mean, it's probably the least expensive place to backpack around. It was like, you could pay $1 to stay in a hostel a night, like in Hanoi. It's crazy.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Not a bad
it's
deal.
It's just the flight getting over there is the big part.
Yeah. So out of all these places, I mean, I know there's probably more places that you have gone, but what has been your favorite place that you've been?
I'd have to say Japan. I love Japan.
Why?
I guess it kind of caught me by surprise in a way. Like I kind of describe it as like a space station on an island. Like the whole country is just connected by speed trains, and everything's just so high tech and clean. But you still have like the ancient culture. Like you don't see silverware anywhere. It's all chopsticks, and you have green tea with every meal, and there's some hotels you stay in that are like traditional Japanese like hotels where you sleep on the floor and stuff. It was just so cool, and people there were insanely friendly. I was in other countries, and they didn't really give a crap that you were American or anything, but yeah, in Japan, like everyone was just always very nice. If you stopped and you were looking for directions, someone would come up to ask you, like, "Oh, do you need help?" And I'm like, "Whoa, you're nice."
You spoke English? They spoke English?
Yeah. For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. So Japan was your favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell my girlfriend, I feel like we should go over there and live for like a year. Like I could totally do that.
Yeah.
But you know, I have the practice and everything, so I can't really do that.
Yeah. You're a little busy now.
Yeah, it'd be a bad move to JR.
Bad for business.
Yeah.
So like with this traveling, like you said, like when you went backpacking, like solo, like what was that experience like? Just picking up and just going by yourself?
Yeah. So it was a little like spur of the moment. So I think I backed my backed my pack.
Yeah, backed your pack. Yeah.
Like the night before I left, and like when you're backpacking and traveling around, you really value how heavy your backpack is. So
travel light.
Yeah, exactly. So I brought like one pair of shoes, flip-flops, or actually, no, I didn't bring flip-flops. That's another story. Because I had to get sandals in Vietnam and my feet were too big for any of the sandals they made. I had to go, I was going around for like a week trying to find sandals big enough to fit me. 2 or 3 pairs of shorts, 2-3 pairs of underwear, like 3 t-shirts, my phone. I mean, not a whole lot of stuff because I just planned on, you know, really living it rough. And if I needed to wash anything, I'm sure I could just wash it in a sink or something, which I did.
So like how rough was this living?
It was, it kind of depends. Like if you were more out in rural areas, it was pretty rough, but you can always tend to find a shower, which is where the sandals came in handy, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So that was the point of the sandals.
Well, yeah, that and just, you know, not being in shoes all the time.
Yeah.
I like sandals a lot. But yeah, when you're in the city, it just kind of varies wherever you want to go. In the city, it's a little bit more developed, obviously. Rural, you could be like sleeping in this hut next to cows, you know.
Big difference.
Yeah.
All right, so you traveled all over the world, 5 of 7 continents, if I'm right on that.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. So what 2 haven't you been to?
Australia. I need to make it there. I'd love to go there, and New Zealand. They have like in New Zealand, you could do like every extreme sport that you could want. So I'd love to do that, and Antarctica, which I'd also like to go to.
Are you gonna do it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I've heard you need like a permit, or like you can't just like go there as a tourist. You need to like go through the government.
You have to be like a scientist or
something like that. And hey, I'm kind of a scientist.
Yeah, you're close enough. You can go straighten out somebody's teeth there, I'm sure.
Penguin teeth if they have any.
Yeah, hey, whatever. Fix the wildlife, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so you did all this traveling, and then you decided like, hey, I'm gonna come back to NEPA.
Yep.
And where did you land?
So yeah, after residency, I actually worked. I thought I was going to stay out in Oregon. So there's a reason why I was repping Oregon so hard, because I really love it out there.
Yeah.
So I actually thought I was going to stay out there, but after working for like 3 years at a corporate dentistry practice, I was like the orthodontist in the clinic. I was kind of getting a little homesick, and I always felt like in the back of my mind that I would, no matter where I went, I'd always end up coming home. And yeah, I was kind of getting homesick and missing my friends. Like my buddies I met around here, you know, growing up have always been my best friends. So I kind of wanted to, and my family, my mom and my dad are here. Unfortunately, my sister's still out on the West Coast in San Francisco. Yeah. So at least I have her as an excuse to go visit the West Coast. Yeah.
Place to stay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I moved back home. And and I couldn't be happier. This was 2019.
Yeah, so just a few years ago.
Yeah, three years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's 3 years ago. I'm not good with math in my head.
Yeah. That's all right. Sorry. So you moved back home, and what did you say? Like, hey, what am I gonna do? Right? I'm an orthodontist.
Yeah. So, you know, before I moved, I put some feelers out, and I was, you know, working for a corporate gig where, you know, I'm not my own boss. I'm working for, it was Kaiser Permanente, which was a great corporate job for dentists, whoever wants to, you know, go in and practice, and they leave at the end of the day and they don't need to worry about anything. So like, you're not a business owner. And
yeah. I was going to say, I kind of explain the difference of that type of orthodontistry, as if that's the right word, versus what you do now?
Yeah. So, I mean, for some people, that's perfect. Some people don't like to get bogged down in the business realm and the risk involved, and they just want to go treat patients and come home at the end of the day and not worry about the practice. In my mind, I almost felt like I just wanted my own creative freedom. I wanted to kind of do what I want, So when I was moving back, I was debating on whether to open up my own practice, like in the back mountain, or partner with somebody or team up, or I don't really know what the heck I was going to do. So I ended up putting out some feelers, and J.R. Karam at Karam Orthodontics. We met up for lunch and we clicked. He's a younger guy too. We have a very similar style. I started associating with him, and now I've been there for 3 years.
So how did you two initially meet?
When I graduated from residency, I sent out like letters everywhere, like just to different orthodontic offices, like looking for if they needed somebody. And I think I was chatting with him a little bit back then, but then 3 years later, when I was coming back to the area, I think I messaged him like, "Hey, I'm coming back to the area, let's meet up for lunch." And he was so welcoming and so friendly. And we weren't even talking like about teaming up at that point. He was just like, if you decide to go out on your own, let me know if you have any help. He was just, he struck me as the nicest guy like I think I've ever met. And it turns out initially I kind of wanted to do a solo practice and be, my own boss. But after meeting JR, it was almost like I could work with this guy. He's awesome. And he cares about his patients as much as I do. And the business he's already built is extraordinary. It would have been very similar to what I would have built. So we have the same vision, the same, caretaking type mentality to really take really good care of our patients. And he's a fun, friendly guy. And so
tell me about the practice. I mean, a lot of locations. So what's going on with the practice?
So JR, before I joined up with him, he had 4 offices to himself in Hazleton, Mountaintop, Scranton, and Clark Summit. And I mean, he was working 5 days a week, like going crazy. Like, I don't know how he did it. This guy, and he has 4 boys too.
It's a lot.
So I don't know where he gets his energy from, but I've been trying to talk him into coming on the show too, so you could chat with him.
Definitely,
And after being with him, we built up the practices a little bit more with me being there, and we decided to open up another office in the back mountain, so I could be in my hometown and treat my buddies' kids and everything. It's kind of like always been a dream of mine. Just kind of like what my dad did, being a health practitioner in the back mountain and serve the community that has served me. JR kind of has his own home office up in Clark Summit. And I've watched him, thrive in his hometown. I was excited to start that up with my hometown.
Yeah. So where are you at in Dallas?
So we're in the Twin Stacks Center. So the new Danko's gym is there. So it was really cool space. It's actually right next, it's like 2 doors down from the Back Mountain Brewery.
Another favorite thing of yours.
Yep.
Breweries.
Yeah. So it reminds me of Portland for sure.
Yeah, there you go. A little bit of Portland there.
All
right, so let's talk a little bit about orthodontics. Like, give me the rundown here. Like I said, I've never had braces. I'm like extremely blessed and grateful. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about.
I'd say there's 2 main reasons why someone would want orthodontics. One is for aesthetics, to make their teeth look which is really important. I mean, I just listened to Steve Brand's show.
Yeah,
and he was talking about, it's the smile's the first thing you see when you talk to somebody, and creating a beautiful smile for someone is like creating a new them, and it's extremely powerful. So aesthetics, you may think like, oh, it's like vain, I want a pretty smile, but it's a lot more important than that. It's not just for aesthetics. It's for self-confidence and feeling your best. And then I'd say the other reason to get orthodontics is for function. So, luckily, we both have nice bites, we bite down and our teeth hit.
I have a nice bite.
Yeah.
Do
I? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bite down. Yeah.
Good.
And it's nuts. You've never had
solid. Yeah.
It's nuts. You've never had treatment.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people bite down and they don't know where to bite because there's a tooth getting in the way, or they lose a tooth and, they're shifting forward. Some people have, jaws that, the lower jaw's really far forward or really far back. So yeah, aesthetics kind of plays in with functionality. But yeah. So we'll see patients. Usually we suggest kids come in around like age 7 for their first visit. And most likely we won't do anything. It's basically just to check to see if there's anything going wrong. There's a few things we do like to treat early. And sometimes most of the time, not even at 7, but 7's like the earliest age. Like if we need to do an expander, whenever we do early treatment with the youngins, we like to keep it relatively simple and straightforward and get in and out. But usually it's around, I'd say the average age is like 12 years old. When all the baby teeth fall out and the permanent teeth come in, that's when we sling them on there.
That's it, huh?
And
the moment of truth.
Yeah.
We get the big brace.
That's right.
Yeah.
There he is.
There he is on the giant tooth.
Yeah. This is JR's special tooth chair I stole from our mountaintop office.
Thank you, JR, for letting us borrow the tooth chair as a prop tonight.
But yeah, then going into treatment wise, the two main forms of treatment, either braces, like we have here, and we do ceramic or metal braces.
What's the difference?
They basically do the same thing, just the ceramic is more aesthetic. It blends in better.
I see.
So adult patients and like late teenagers tend to like the clear ones. And at our office, we just do the upper clear and lower metal, just because you don't...
Combo of the two.
Yeah.
So you really only see the top teeth more so
exactly.
when you smile. I get it.
So braces, and then we also have Invisalign, which is... in recent years has become a huge thing. And Invisalign has actually come a pretty far way of what it could accomplish with cases. Usually like in the, 10 years ago, orthodontists would really only use Invisalign for like, oh, you have like
minor stuff.
Yeah. But, after practicing with JR, he's been really he's been pushing the Invisalign, the past few years. And I've learned quite a bit more about what it can do and the technology that it's able to do. And I'm surprised at some of the stuff, the cases that we're able to complete with Invisalign. That being said, some cases, we need to do with braces.
Yeah. So there's probably a certain threshold.
Exactly.
Where like the patient probably doesn't have a choice, right?
Well, they have a choice. Sometimes
but it depends on how good you want the teeth to look,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
So you kind of give them their options.
Exactly. And we like to be as realistic and as clear in the beginning and in our initial exam as possible. We don't like any surprises. Someone in treatment's going, they're like, oh, why is this tooth doing this? We're like, well, duh, it was totally going to do that. But we want them to know it's going to do that. So we try to be as thorough and cover all of our bases before we start and leave them with a realistic, thought about what's going to happen.
Yeah. So you deal with a lot of younger patients?
I'd say we have a fair amount of adult patients in our
is it becoming more common?
I would say so. We have a lot of adults. I'd say maybe like 70-30, like children to adults, maybe even pushing 60-40. But yeah, we've enjoyed treating a lot of adult patients. A lot of them have gone their whole lives without having, a perfect smile, and we're able to do that for them. So some of the most appreciative patients are the adults, which is awesome.
Yeah. What's that like when you get a patient that like just, you really transform their smile? Like, what's that like?
It's, like I said, it's why we do what we do. It's a really cool feeling because we put our blood, sweat, and tears into treatment planning, and we don't cut corners. We put our all into every single case, and when it comes out perfectly, there's no feeling quite like it.
Yeah. And what's that process like? Because this isn't like an overnight thing.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously depending on the case, like the harder the case, usually it's a little bit longer, but I'd say like the average case is like a year and a half, maybe pushing 2 years, something like that. But if it's just a minor crowding case, I mean, we could get it done in less than a year. But if it's, sometimes we'll even do surgical cases where moving the teeth themselves isn't enough. We actually need to move the bones in order to move the teeth.
That sounds really complicated.
So we work with oral surgeons, and we set the teeth up perfectly in each arch. The lower arch may be 4 inches forward, but then when they go in the surgery with the orthodontic surgeon, they'll move their jaws and cinch them together, and then they heal, and their bite's perfect after that. Which is pretty awesome. Surgical cases are wild.
Yeah. What's been like the wildest case?
Give
me a wild story.
I mean, I've had some pretty cool ones in residency.
Maybe on a boat. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, shit. So yeah, we're going back to my dental school.
We're going back to the trip at sea.
So yeah, it's funny you say that. So my buddy Scott and I, my friend from dental school, we decided, I think it was after our first or second year of dental school, to on our own go down to Guatemala and dentally volunteer down there. And luckily Scott Drucker, his name is, he's out in Chicago now, I think. What's up, Scott?
What's up, Scott?
What a great guy. We had a great time. But he speaks fluent Spanish, so that was great. So we go down, we went around to local dentists in each of our home areas and collected a bunch of toothbrushes and toothpaste and supplies in our huge backpacks. And we get into Guatemala City, and I'm just like, oh man, I hope I see Scott. Like, does my phone work?
Wait, so you just like went and you were just like somehow meeting him there?
Yeah.
All right.
And meanwhile, Guatemala City was like the murder capital.
I was going to say, kind of dangerous.
So.
And how old were you?
24, 23, something like that. And so Scott was talking to people at Penn saying that we were going, and it was funny, they didn't want to sponsor us because it wasn't like through them, and they thought it was too dangerous. So I guess somebody from the school called Scott while he was in the Guatemala City airport, saying like, you really shouldn't go, like you shouldn't go. And he's like, sorry, I'm already here.
too late.
Yeah. So yeah, we ended up we found this orphanage, which was like a boat and a bus and a boat ride away, like 5 hours down into the jungle. We did all these dental exams in this orphanage, literally in the jungle. It was really neat. I have some really cool pictures and really cool experience. And I think we did a really good service for the kids too, because we notated in the they have a bunch of notebooks there. When dentists come down, we wrote their names and what we thought they needed and everything. And we gave some cleanings. And then we had another very cool experience. We assisted a dentist who had a floating pontoon boat clinic. So, you think, out in Harvey's Lake, a pontoon boat. Imagine that covered with a dental chair just on it.
Dentist at sea.
Dentist at sea.
This is great.
So we stayed at this, man, I don't even know what it was, some building complex in the jungle, and we like slept in hammocks. And And every morning we'd go out with the local dentist who'd go to all these like Mayan, like their Mayan descendants, like all these villages in the jungle, and we'd assist them doing dental work and stuff, and it was the coolest experience. And then after that we did that for a few days, and then we just kind of backpacked through all of Guatemala, and Guatemala is a beautiful country.
So I want to go back to this orphanage thing that you mentioned first. So this was just like a pure volunteer thing, right? Like, how did you find the place? You just there was just like this orphanage of children, and you guys just went there, like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Scott looked it up on online, and I guess he got in contact with somebody, or I'm not sure how he did it, but he was kind of the organizer.
And these kids probably like never see any dentist.
No.
Right?
It's yeah. I mean, it makes you really think, how lucky we are in this country that we have what we have. I mean, these kids, I mean, they don't have toothbrushes. It's wild. Yeah.
That's really cool.
But
that's awesome you did that.
And kind of from doing that, I'd really like to get involved with some type of international, either like teaching, like dentistry or orthodontic, like teaching, like where we would teach, local orthodontists. One doctor who was out in Oregon, I know, volunteered at a Vietnamese orthodontic clinic in Hanoi. I tried to meet up with that program when I was out there, but it didn't happen. But yeah, since I love travel so much, and I love people of all over the world, it doesn't matter, where the hell you're from. It'd be cool to set up something cool like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what country, maybe a few, but yeah, once we get the practice all settled around here, I'll spread my wings a little bit. We'll see what happens.
Adventure into some shady areas of the world.
Yeah. Maybe create a clinic, or that would be awesome.
That'd be really cool. That's awesome that you've done, like you've experienced like so many things.
Yeah, I have. I've been very lucky.
That's cool. All right, so back to the practice. So you guys have what? You said 5 locations, and you guys kind of just bounce around to each one. Like, how does it work?
Yeah. So, we're basically at a different office every day of the week. So, JR will be in Hazleton on Monday, and we just started up Dallas, so I'll be in Dallas on Monday, and then I'll be in Hazleton Tuesday, and then Clark Summit and Mountaintop. And so, we have a set schedule, and and I just have to say our staff is incredible.
Yeah, shout out to the staff. Tell me about the staff.
JR and I mean, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without the staff and their skills and their devotion. And I mean, these people, I look up to every single one of them. I know what they do isn't easy, but they do it with a smile on their face, and I'm very proud of all of them. But yeah, and in addition to doing the work in the office, we have people who live in Hazleton who drive up to Clark Summit, and then we have people in Scranton that drive down Hazleton to work, and a lot of moving parts with the practice, and it wouldn't work without everybody's drive and being so accommodating with the offices.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you guys manage to do like all of that?
It's I guess just the drive. A drive and a drive.
Yeah, literally and figuratively. Yeah. So all right, so you go around to all the different offices. I know the 6th office is going to be what, in Guatemala?
Yeah, maybe not in Guatemala City.
In the outskirts.
Yeah. Maybe in the ancient city of Tikal.
Where's that?
Look it up on Wikipedia. It's like when you think of like the ancient Mayan like temples.
Okay.
It's like an ancient city in Guatemala. Tikal, Tikal, I think it is. Yeah.
I'll have to Google that.
It's kind of like Chichen Itza in Mexico.
Interesting.
But wild.
So that'll be the 6th location.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. Maybe like once a month I'll go down.
Yeah. All right.
Once
So
a week
do
is a little
you have
bit
any any tips? I know before we started talking, you mentioned like thumb sucking, and I thought it was very interesting because I'm a new dad myself.
Yeah.
So you got any good tips for any parents out there that have young kids?
So, yeah,
Give away the secret sauce.
I was talking to my my parents, a little while ago, and I don't know, for some reason I brought up, thumb sucking or habits that younger kids have that could affect their dental and facial growth. And I guess it's not really like well known how much damage a thumb habit could be on a developing face, not just like the mouth, I could show you a picture, but
the jaw and everything, right?
Yeah, it could create a giant open bite where when you bite down with your back teeth, your front teeth aren't even close to coming together. And it creates like a really long face. There's breathing issues. It could totally warp what a child's face would have been like. And it all could have just been stopped by, making sure they weren't sucking their thumb.
How do you prevent this stuff? How do I prevent this from happening? This is what I'm getting at here.
Catching it early. So, when they're really young and they have their baby teeth, like, it's not as important. But as they're getting a little bit older, like around, I don't know, like. Yeah, I guess I haven't. I haven't had a kid, so I don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
But sooner rather than later, getting the binky out of there and whatever you could do to prevent having the thumb in there. And you could always come in if you have any questions. Come in and see an orthodontist. That would probably be the best thing to do. But and there's stuff called Mavala, which looks like nail polish, and you could paint it on their thumb, and it tastes really bad. So it's kind of a deterrent to keep it out of their mouth.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of things in orthodontics that we see that are like severe usually could be caught early. So I think the most important thing is, even if you think your kid doesn't need anything, at least just bring them on in when they're young, and we'll check to make sure nothing crazy happens.
Preventative maintenance.
Exactly.
It's like a thing.
If we could, prevent all significant discrepancies that we see, like if we could prevent those early, like our job would just be like straightening minor cases, So yeah, that's very important to get across. Yeah. Early detection.
So how do you keep up on all this stuff? Like continually learning for you, I bet, is like a big thing.
So that's what's pretty cool about dentistry in general, is that there's always new research coming out. There's always new products. And any doctor or dentist, we need to do continuing education. So every year I try to go to our AAO meeting, which is the American Association of Orthodontics. This year it's in May. My girlfriend Megan and I are going down to Miami. So it's in Miami. So yeah, you learn about orthodontic treatment, and you sit on the beach and sip on Miami Vice.
Nice.
It's not a bad deal.
Yeah, I get to travel a little bit. Yeah.
And actually, was it last year or this year? It was supposed to be in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Oh.
And I was in the cities kind of go in a cycle. So last time they were in Honolulu, I was still in dental school. So I was waiting for the Honolulu one to come around, but like COVID kind of messed everything up. So I was kind of pissed.
Threw off your traveling a little bit.
I know it.
Jeez. So I want to kind of go back to, you talked about your team a little bit, and I think it's like really important. And you said like, I want to kind of maybe talk about like building that great company culture. Like how'd you guys build that? Like, you said like your employees are bouncing from office to office too, just like you guys. And it takes a lot of commitment. It does. How'd you guys manage to do that with such, with your team? So, all the credit, I came in about 3 years ago. Jay already had this machine going. So all the credit goes to him with how he's trained the team, and I just meshed perfectly right into it. But yeah, a lot of it is
just being humble. Just because, say an assistant would, put ties on, doesn't mean you as the doctor would never do that. Like I always like to, help chip in, wherever I can, even if it's, doing something, a doctor isn't necessarily supposed to be doing. I would never want my employees doing something I wouldn't do, Yeah, I think it's important to show that you value them. And JR and I do, like, a lot. So, yeah, saying thank you, being appreciative. And I like to pick out, certain things that employees are really, that assistants are really doing really well on, and compliment them and give them pointers. I think I've always felt that, the more you know about what you're doing, the more you appreciate it. So like when an assistant is like, doing something like tying in a tooth a certain way, I like to try to give them a little bit of information, like, why are we doing that? Just so they're just not blindly putting it on, And I think another big thing is that JR and I, we're very mild tempered. We keep our calm, which
you seem like a pretty cool, level-headed guy. And by the way, for those like listening and watching, like, we never met. Like, this is like we had like one conversation before this, but like I know we both talked in a lot of exclamation points. So like I knew like we were like, this is gonna work out great. Yeah.
So I think just like leadership in general, I think it's one of the most important things you could do is when everyone else, if something happens and everyone else is flipping out and freaking out, you're the one who stays calm, because that calm spreads to everybody else. And that's what I've tried to instill into the assistants and everything. If tempers are flaring, like, hey, it's cool. Let's get in there, and everything's about the patients, So yeah, I think that's important. And yeah, one of the things that I try to live by, and it's hard to do this all the time. You may have like an angry patient, or maybe one of your coworkers is being, a little, rude or something. But an instructor of mine always said, try to be the nicest person that whoever you're talking to has met all day. And that's kind of how I'd like to approach patients. And that's kind of what I try to instill in our staff too. So yeah, so like I just want, patients to feel so welcome. And like you walk into some businesses, and you walk in the front door and you almost think you're bothering the person behind the counter,
Yeah, like so they're ignoring you. Yeah. Not even greeting you.
Yeah.
That's a big pet peeve.
Our practices, we try to make it very patient-centric. And when you get the whole staff on board with that ideology, it it just creates for a really great place.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. All right, so how can our listeners connect with you guys online? Or follow your travel adventures?
Yeah. Well, my personal Instagram is Pace of Base. If you want to check my Instagram out, it is private. So, if I know you, I'll friend you. But but yeah, you can check out Karam Ortho. In Instagram, it's Karam Ortho, or at Karam Ortho, and Facebook, Karam Orthodontics, and karamortho.com. And we have we could have free virtual consults too, which is really neat. We could kind of set you up and kind of
so somebody doesn't have to come in initially.
Yeah. Okay. So we could take a look at your case. We could kind of vaguely plan it out. I mean, you'd still need to obviously come in and start treatment, but yeah, it's a great way to kind of skip an appointment in a way.
Okay, so it's an easier way to kind of connect and
exactly, and then it's using the cool technology too. It's really neat.
Yeah, really cool. You guys are obviously accepting new patients.
Yeah, always, especially in our Dallas office.
Yeah.
So if you live in the Back Mountain, or Lehman, Kingston, Wilkes-barre, whatever, come on in.
Go see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen some of the videos and stuff you guys do on Instagram. You guys seem like a fun office.
Yeah. We like to. It's fun just getting the staff involved and stuff. Jess and Kristen are social media heads. They do a great job with ideas and stuff, and they're always roping JR and I into doing things. But yeah, it's definitely a fun place and very patient centric, and we wouldn't be able to sleep at night if we didn't do as perfect of treatment as possible. That's what we strive for. So yeah.
Cool. Well, this has been fun, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate
it's been great.
Yeah.
I really appreciate having me on.
Yeah.
This was really nice.
Definitely. You brought the cool tooth chair.
That's right.
Homemade.
There we go.
Braces.
There we go, baby.
Yeah. You know? All right, man. Well, again, I appreciate you coming in. Dr. Jeff Pace on the Stacks podcast in the Blue Door studio. Thanks for joining me.
Awesome.
If you want to see more On the Stacks content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/onthestackspodcast or search the hashtag #OnTheStacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. We'll catch you next time on The Stacks.